I'm Doris and I'm here to share with you about my stock account update and today's market. Today my stock account has lost $1,345. Today US stocks closed higher and focused on inflation and Fed policy. And today we're going to discuss about Tesla, Qualcomm, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Pfizer, and many more. So in my account today, SQQQ made a loss of $1,365 and the DRV made a loss of $115. Today's PL is, including the post-market price, is a loss of 1.88%. So right now the total loss in my account is 23,732.57. Today's market closed generally higher. Dow Jones Industrial Average rose for 0.22%. Nasdaq Composite rose for 0.63%, and S&P 500 rose for 0.31%. Today, the auto manufacturers, especially Tesla, rose for more than 3%. The other industries varied in between plus or minus 1%. The fall in the Treasury yields boosted the index. Investors continue to watch on inflation and its impact on the Fed policy outlook. On Monday, the 2-year Treasury yield combined as high as 4.883%, its highest level since July 2007, before gradually falling down to 4.782%. Bayard investment strategist Ross Mayfield said, changes in Treasury yields once again dominate the stock market with a renewed focus on rising inflation and its impact on the Fed's currency. A rapid shift in expectations for the Fed funds rates and a surge in short-term Treasury yields have boosted stock market risk aversion. So a drop in Treasury yields gave stocks a boost. The latest Personal Consumption Spending Price Index (PCE) released Friday set stocks tumbling and the Treasury yields soar. The PCE price index is the Fed's favorite inflation indicator. A number of strong recent U.S. macroeconomic data have helped investors to not only abandon expectations that the Fed will turn to cut interest rates this year, but also increase the bets of terminal interest rates will be significantly above 5%. The momentum for the rally in the 2023 appears to be fading as investors diving through the Fed's latest meeting minutes. The FOMC minutes reiterated the Fed's hawkish stance in curbing inflation and a recent warning by Fed officials that interest rates could rise higher and could last longer than expected. Navalier Associates, Louis Navalier, chairman and founder of Associates, said, as we enter a period of seasonal weaknesses and the market increased likelihood that the Fed could raise interest rates by 50 basis points in March rather than 25 basis points. Short-term market risks remain downside, despite 3 consecutive weeks of declines. Concerns of continued tightening of monetary policy and long-term high inflation have led to higher yields. The 2-year Treasury yield climbed Monday to its highest level since July 2007. This week, investors were closely watching a string of economic data and corporate earnings to gauge how inflation affects consumers and businesses. On Monday's economic data, U.S. durable goods orders plunged in January, suggesting consumers are spending less on large-ticket goods. Sales of durable goods such as appliances, TVs, and cars in the U.S. fell 4.5% in January 2023 from previous months, even below the 3.6% average estimate of analysts pulled by Dow Jones. Durable goods orders rose 5.1% in December 2022. Orders for transportation equipment plunged 13.3% in January, leading a sharp drop in the overall number of durable goods. Excluding a sharp decline in transport products, new orders increased by 0.7% in real terms. However, excluding defense products, durable goods orders fell 5.1% in January. This week, investors will also have other reports, including the ISM Manufacturing Index and Consumer Confidence Index. In earnings report, 6% of S&P 500 companies will report results this week, including major retailers such as Target, Costco, Lowe's, restaurant chains, several travel agencies, entertainment and food companies. Investors will judge consumer status on the basis of companies' performance. Morgan Stanley strategists said headwinds will intensify in March and stocks will face pressure from volatile results and high valuations. The Morgan Stanley strategist, led by Wall Street's Big Short, Michael Wilson, wrote Monday, "Given that we think the earnings recession is far from over, we think March is a risky month for the next decline." Mr. Wilson noted that analysts paused in lowering their earnings forecast for the next 12 months have sparked optimism among some investors. However, before downward trend continues, the outlook between quarterly earnings seasons flattened out. Wilson said, "Stocks tend to see this a month earlier and then go lower. This cycle illustrates this pattern perfectly." Tesla, Qualcomm, Nvidia, Amazon, and other tech and Pfizer. Tesla's official European Twitter account announced on Monday that the Model Y production of the Gigafactory in Berlin, Germany, exceeded 4,000 vehicles per week. It is reported that Berlin Gigafactory opened on March 22, 2022. The Model Y weekly product reached 1,000 in mid-June, 2,000 in early October, and 3,000 in mid-December. Barclays analyst Dan Levy said on Monday that this upcoming investor activity day in 2023, held on March 1st local time, could be a trigger for a selling event, given the recent rise in Tesla's shares. But he also said the event could strengthen Tesla's long-term opportunities, so he reiterated his overweight rating with a price target of $275. Dan Levy noted that Tesla CEO Elon Musk said in a recent tweet that Tesla's Chapter Master Plan Part 3, how Earth moves to fully sustainable energy, will be announced on Investor Day. In addition, on Investor Day, investors will be able to see the company's most advanced production lines and discuss with the leadership about long-term expansion plans, third-generation platforms, capital allocation, and other issues. He said that while some of the plans in the second chapter of Tesla's grand blueprint has never been fully realized, Tesla has consolidated its products and accelerated the transition to electric vehicles. Qualcomm CEO and President Cristiano Amon said at the Mobile World Congress 2023 on Monday. Apple is expected to produce its own baseband chips in 2024. Apple has long been working on developing its 5G baseband chips to replace products bought from Qualcomm. If Amon's prediction is accurate, this year's iPhone 15 will be the last model to use Qualcomm's 5G chip. Guo Ming, a well-known analyst, said on Monday that Apple has restarted the iPhone SE 4 and will use its own 5G chip, indicating a significant drop in Apple orders at Qualcomm. At Nvidia's earnings call last week, CEO Rensu Huang said, Nvidia's GPU has improved AI's processing performance by 1 million times over the past decade. Nvidia now hopes to increase the AI's training speed up by at least 10,000 times. Amazon will report invest $200 million in traffic safety technology. Meta Platforms researchers unveiled a new large language model over the weekend, adding to the AI arms race among tech giants. Previously, Microsoft topped the list with OpenAI's ChatGPT technology, prompting global tech giants such as Google and Baidu to rush into the race, but ChatGPT has refused to open source since the release of version 3.0, which has also caused industry discontent. According to Meta, Llama, a new released large language model, will listen non-commercial uses to researchers and entities in government, civil society, and academia. Although Meta's large language model Llama is not yet available in source code, allowing it to open academic researchers to train the model as a base is a big improvement. Sources say Pfizer in early talks to acquire Seagen, with plans to buy it for more than $30 billion. Baidu will complete the private beta online in March. It is reported that more than 400 leading enterprises in the internet, media, finance, insurance, automobile, Enterprise software and other industries have announced to join Baidu's Wenxin Yiyan ecology. It is also based on such expectations in Baidu's share price has nearly doubled from last year's low background. UBS, Morgan Stanley, and other well-known institutions have expressed their continued optimism about Baidu. In other markets, major European indexes closed higher on Monday, with Germany's DAX 30 up 1.14%, Britain's FTSE 100 up 0.72%, France's CAC 40 up 1.51%, and Europe's stocks 550 up 1.65%. Gold futures for April deliverance rose $7.8 or 0.4% to close at $1,824.9 an ounce for the New York Mercantile Exchange. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate crude futures for April deliverance fell 64 cents or 0.8% to close at $75.68 a barrel. That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you next episode.